Hey guys, I am Nishant and welcome to Cybernetico. So let's learn about how to connect Firebase with different front-end apps like JavaScript, React Native, React, Next or Angular. So we will create a series of videos in a playlist, but first let's target the vanilla.js. So create a file called index.js here and one index.js, yes, and one for HTML. So index.html. So they are running here. So let's add the embed code here and make this as Firebase JS. So first, in this first video, we will just learn how to authenticate and use the CRUD operations for JavaScript, for vanilla JS, I mean. So let's link the script tag here, script src. So it's index.js and let me format this, fine. So we will write everything inside the body and put the script tag after the body because it should load after here. So let's start by creating a Firebase app here. So go to console here, add a project. Let's make it Firebase front end. Continue, create project here. It's creating. So let's run the file here with live server. So it's running here, but we can't see because we don't have anything. So let me make a div and let's make 4 inputs, or first let's make the 2 inputs for authentication. So we will have input of email, placeholder of email. Wait, sorry, email, and make this. Then second one should have the placeholder of password. Save, and we have email and password. Let's give them a styling. So create one CSS file as well here. So this should be index.css, simple, and link the CSS here. So we can just say link CSS and index.css. Save. So give this div a class name of, or class of, not class name. Let's say main. And here in the CSS we will just say main display of flex height something 100 VH and justify content center align items, wait, align item center. So they are now in the center positions. So we need to make them row wise. So we can also do flex direction of row, or I think it should be column. Yes, they're column wise, not row wise. So we have now 2 input fields, email and password. Let's add some label email and put them in a div. So this email and password, sorry, this email label and the email input field are now one combination. So do it again for the second here, for the input of password, and at the label this should be password. Save, and now we have these two. Okay, or what we can do is just rename the main to body. Fine, it's now fine. So we have email and password. Let's give them the label some styling, or leave it, it's fine. We are not focusing on the styles. So we need a button here. So make a button, make it as submit. It's here, and give the button a class name of submit button or btn. And in the CSS, let's add the class name here. It should be position of absolute, then left 50%, top 50%, and save it. Then we also have to add a little bit more margin at the top. So margin top 30 pixels or 40, 50, fine. We have now email and password and submit button. So now let's get the data from these inputs. So make this as ID, add ID value and make it as email, and this should be password. ID as password. Also let's add the name of input fields. This should be email and this should be password. So name is password. See, so now let's format them properly. Give them a little indentation or whatever it is, and then just wait. Okay, fine, it's fine. So we have now the email and password fields. Now let's get data from them. So to get data, just open index.js file and create a function. So const register, it will be an arrow function. Here let's get data from this input fields. First is email. So let me give the type of the input. So this should be email here, and here this should be password. Type of password. Then let's add the inputs here. So const email equals to what should we call it? Document dot get element by ID, the email ID, and dot value to get its value. Then we have to just use password equals to document dot get element by ID and the password, its value. If we console these values, we should be able to see them. But first, let's bind this function to this button here, the submit button. So on click register, and now if we try to console them, console dot log email and password. Let's see what we get. So open the console, inspect element, and enter the email, my and some password. Submit. See, we are now getting the email and the password in the console. So we remove this console log. Let's create the Firebase app. Click the web here and give the name Firebase front end. And here I have a guide on how to add Firebase to the JavaScript library. So use the script tag here. So we don't need all this right now. So just open this documentation. I will leave the link in the comments or in the description. Copy these three CDN tags, CDN links, I mean, and paste it paste it before the index.js. So we have these three, three links or script tags. First is for auth, and this is for Firebase Firestore. So, and the third is for app. So we have to just use this const Firebase initialize app in our index.js. So save it here and open index.js. Then we can just initialize it at the top. Then we have to add our config here, all this data. So copy these things, API key, auth domain and all, and add it here. Okay, then we have to initialize our database, Firestore database and auth. So let's do it here. And now we can just use this auth to sign up. So we can just say auth dot sign, we have to use create user with email and password. So mind the spelling, and it's a camel case letter. User is U is capital, W is capital, A is capital and all. And we have to pass this email and password inside this as params, email and password. Then it's a promise, so we can have a then block. It says a response to us, and we can say response dot user in the console. It is res dot user. Let's also add a catch block if it fails. So catch. So this should be, what should we call this? It should take an error here, error, and we can say console dot log error dot message, and one more for the code. So let's add the code here, error dot code. So let's try this now. But first thing to do is continue to console here. Open the auth tab in the side menu, authentication tab. Click get started here. Then activate email and password sign in method. Save it. And we are done here. So click users. You see we don't have any users here. So let's add one. Enter the email, but first open the console. Enter the email and some password. Click submit. See, we are getting this all the data here with auth, display name, email, and everything else. So we can use the display name, it's null, email is my name, and everything else here. If we refresh this data in the Firebase console authentications, we will see our email here. You see, our email has been registered now. If we try to create the one more data, if we try to create the account with same email, we will fail. Submit it here. See, we are getting this message called auth or email already in use. So we can add alert here, alert which says error dot message. So just add it here and use same email and password. See, the email is already in use by another account. So this is sign up. So create one more function for login. So const log in. We will use same params. I mean, we will use the same data here, same input fields and all. So in the login, we need one more button. So create one button here that will point to sign in. We can make this as we can make this as sign up to, yes, but they are overlapped. So what we can do is we are doing submit button here. Okay, make this as login button, and here just add a new styling of login button. Make the same style here, but it will be the same. So make the left to 60% and this to be 40%. Fine. Don't mind the design. We are just using the functionalities here. So in the index.js, we are using this registered. So make it as login for sign in method. And here, let's add the email and password here like this. And we can just say auth dot sign in with email and password. I think the spelling is right. It also takes two parameters, email and password. So all the things here will be the same. So just copy this then in catch block and paste it. Let's add an alert here as well. Okay, alert will not work here. Fine. So now let's try to log in. So enter the email and password and click sign in, but open the console first to check if it works or not. Sign in. See, we're getting all the data here which says auth, display name, email and email verified and all the data. What if we enter the wrong email that has not been registered yet? We will get an error in the alert. So sign in. See, we are getting this. There is no user according to this identifier. The user may have been deleted and whatnot. So it's working. And if we enter the right email but the wrong password, we will get the password error. Sign in. See, the password is invalid or the user does not have password. Fine. So it's working fine. The email and sign up. Now let's see how to use the save data to Firebase Firestore. So open this Firestore database here. Oh my god, chocolates. So create database and start in test mode here because we are testing it. So it's all the things, they are fine. So it's initializing and provisioning cloud Firestore. Meanwhile, we can create a function here. So it will say const save data for save function. We will use this method to save data. So let's comment all this code here because we have already seen how this works. So comment all this input. No, don't comment it. We will reuse it. So create one more button here. So it should be known as save data. We can comment these buttons here because we don't need them anymore right now. So save data. So we will just save the email and password in the Firestore database. That will work. Fine. So we have saved data here and add this function to this button. So on click this function of save data. So we need the user and email. We need the email and password, I mean. So add it here and it will work. If we click save button here, this should get the email and password in our function here. So to add data, we can just do this simple thing. So if we check the documentation here, it's listed here. I will leave the link in the description. So we have to add the collection name first. So db.collection. So collection should be the users collection. Then we will use an add keyword to add data in the collection. So first thing is our email. So add the email as email. Then we have a password. So add password as password. Then if it's successful, we can just use a then block. So it takes a docref and we can just console.log this data. So let me use this data, copy this and just replace the console log here. And if it fails, we will use catch block. Okay, so now let's try this. Our database is empty, you see here. Let's add one email and some password. So if you open the console and save data, we will get the message called document written with ID, this ID. If we check Firebase Firestore and refresh this once, we should get the data here with that same ID that we saw here. See, it's same and the email and password is listed here in the collection. So for example, this is an array. This one is an object and in this object we have the email and password fields. Let's add one more. Change some data and save. See, the another one is here and it should be here as well. See, so our add doc is functioning properly. Now let's see how to read data from Firestore. So to read data, let's add a function here as well. So const read data and just add the function here. Wait, in the index.html. So we add a button here. Button, this should be read. Wait a sec. Read data. Just say on the on click event, on click, there should be read data here. Say when we have a button called read data, that will correspond to this function call. So to read data, it's very simple. So we have to just say db dot collection and in the collection let's pass the collection name which is called users. The collection name is users here and you see here we will be using a get keyword here to get the data. So we can use get and it will send us some data back. So we can just say dot then to see in the console the upcoming data. We can make it as document or let's make it simply data. Then we will just say console.log data. So if you open the console now and click this read data button, get is not defined. Wait a sec, let me see what is the problem. The get is not defined. Okay. If you just copy this and let me just replace all these things here. Wait. So get is not defined because we have to use a dot here before this get. That's why. So save it and check again. Read data. We are getting this data here, but it's not clear to us what is this. So let me just filter it out. So data.docs we can do, we have to get the documents inside, so we will use docs. So read data again. So we're getting this array here, and inside this array we have to find our data. So we'll map these arrays. So we will say map, it will send us an item as callback. Then we will just say console, or we will just say return the item. So we will return the item.data. So this item have a data, has a data I mean. So if we save and check again, we should get these two array objects for the both fields here, for both objects. But the thing is, we're not getting the ID. So we should get the ID by just adding ID, and this should be item.id. So click create again. They should have an ID here. See this unique ID for both documents. So this is how we read data in Firebase Firestore. Now in the third thing, let's see how to update data. So just say const one more function called update data equals to this arrow function, and we will do the collection name here. So we will add the collection name. Then we have to specify the collection ID. So we have two IDs here, this one and this one. So we can just say doc keyword, and we have to pass the ID here. So just pass the ID, this one, and then we have to update it. So we can say update, and we have to add the update data to update first. So let's first make the email to be something else. So make it Ashish is a good boy 1 2 3 @gmail.com. So the password should be same. So if we make the password to, okay, let's make this as 1 2 3 4 5 6. Fine. So we will update the which field? We will update the first field. This Nishant is 4401 @gmail.com. So we need to pass this function to a button. So we can create one button here. It's just for showing you update one field, and just pass the button here of on click. On click this function update data. Save it. So we have to get a promise based response. So just use dot then, and we will just say alert data updated. Save it and let's check it now. If we click update one field, this Nishant S4401 should be this email that we wrote here in the email. Click update one field. Okay, it's not defined. So I guess we have to use it in a string like this. So now let's try again. Update one field. See, updated here. And if we check here, you see this email is now Ashish is a good boy and blah blah blah. So we can change it again to 1 2 3 to 1 2 3 4. And if we save it, update again. So it's updated. And here also 1 2 3 is now 1 2 3 4. So it's done. Now let's delete this field. So make this as delete data, and one more button here to delete this field. So make this as this function called delete data. Paste it and save the file here, and here also. But let's delete this field called nishant440 @gmail.com and the password 126. So we will just say delete. Sorry, we will say doc here. It's fine. We will just use this delete. So delete, and we will save it, and let's try this now. So if we click this, wait, change the name to delete one field, and click this, it's updated, but this should be deleted. Yes, but It's not here anymore. This field that we deleted right now. Okay, we deleted the wrong field. Fine, doesn't matter. So we have deleted this field of this ID. So it's not here anymore. So let me just show you again one more. So make this as where? Here. There should be data deleted. So let me add one field here. So add an email and some password. Save data. Saved here, and it should be here. So we have two fields, this and this. We can read them. If we click this read data, we are getting two fields here. We can update the one field. So we are using this ID to update. So let me use this ID. So if we read data again and copy the ID here. So let me get this ID of 6CA whatever, and we will update this field of Nishan as 440@gmail.com. So save the index.js file, and this should be updated. Wait, not this. This should be updated. If we click update, this name should be Ashish is a good boy 1234@gmail.com. So let's try it. Update one field, and we will get this message called data updated in the alert, and this should be C. Ashish 123. Sorry, Ashish is a good boy 1234. And if we delete the field here, so this field will be deleted. But the thing is, we don't have the ID of this field, so it's not here. If we click delete, we should get an error. So we can just say dot catch. So it takes a parameter called error. So we can just say console dot log error. If we now delete this field here, we should get the error of data deleted. Wait, okay, this ID is not present, but how can I delete? I think something is wrong here. Doesn't matter. So let's replace the ID with this SB, SWB and whatever. So read data and just copy the ID, this one, and place it here in one quote, not two quotes. Save, and we will delete this field called second one. Nishant is 440@gmail.com, password 126, and the ID is SWBQTMG. So click delete one field, delete it, and this shouldn't be here. See, we only have one field. If we delete this one also, we have to pass the ID here like this. So delete this field as well. And if we read data, we will have empty object here, empty array I mean, and nothing here. So our four operations are now working, which are create, read, update and delete, as well as the registered and login methods. So we have done auth, and we have done database, Firestore database I mean. So this one for JavaScript is done. We will add the more front-end apps like Angular, Next, React and Native in the next videos. So make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more awesome videos like this one that will help you learn. So fine. Enjoy.